What's up, guys? Scotty from Chernobyl Studios, and I can't believe I have the absolute honor to say this, but right next to me here is the famous Nicholas Barker. You may know him, obviously, from Cradle of Filth, but Dimmu Borgir, he's also been the long-term Skinner for Locked Up, excuse me. We'll talk about that. Bruhiria, Old Man's Child. He's been a live drummer for this many bands. Just go to his Wikipedia page. It's like the dictionary of all the top metal bands you could possibly want to listen to. He probably has done some work for them. Nick, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks. How are you?
Excellent. I'm still can't believe this is happening. So I guess we just get the pleasantries out of the way. New Year's just ended here. Christmas, New Year's. How's everything going? How's the family? Get some time to relax, probably.
My Christmas and New Year was well, it was different, to say the least. I was supposed to have my daughters on Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas Day.
Okay.
And on December 22nd, I was informed that they both tested positive.
How are they doing now, though?
Oh, they're fine now. They're just coming out of the isolation period.
Cool.
This week. Yeah, so it kind of threw a spanner in the works as regards to my, holiday plans, and I live alone, so yeah, it was.
Shit,
it was
man.
It was quite surreal.
Sucks.
Like on Christmas Day, eating like instant noodles.
I mean that you can always do that though. Instant noodles are always a good thing to have. Whatever age we get at. I don't know what happened here with Skype. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that they're doing okay though. So I mean, you've been able to already spend time.
Good. Yeah, they had different symptoms. They don't live together.
Oh, okay.
My youngest lives with my ex-wife, and my oldest lives with her fiance.
Oh, cool.
But both tested positive, but both had different symptoms.
That's strange.
Yeah.
All right. Well, main thing is they're doing okay. So your video.
Yeah, they're all good now. I spoke to them, and yeah, we're just going to try and rearrange, the family get together. But now the UK's on a third lockdown.
Who knows when that's going to be? I don't really pay. I mean, for better or for worse, I sort of just kind of keep my head out of that. Just like, oh, this is what's happening here. Okay. And then I sort of worry about my immediate thing of what actually I can do. And so, yeah, I didn't know about that. Anyway, with all that out of the way, really happy to hear everything's okay. I mean, it must be said, I mean, it's kind of funny that you and I get to talk now, because when I was a teenager, this was late 90s, early 2000s, which was I didn't do this on purpose, by the way. It's just a shirt that I wear all the time.
Great shirt, great album.
Hell yeah. So I mean, so for me, I don't know what it would be like for a person who's my age. I mean, I guess it could, like, meeting someone who you really, really look up to, because I started playing drums because of your work in Cradle. That is hands down the way it is, and there's no other way that I can say it other than you are the direct influence of that. And I have visual proof, actually. If we have this beautiful picture right here that somehow just recently found, but this is, I don't know if you look at the drum set, Nick, it looks eerily similar to something you may have played for a long time, minus the gold hardware.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see it now. That's awesome.
Minus the gold.
Is it like a Pearl Masters?
It's not a Pearl Masters, but it is a Pearl. All right.
Great.
And it's even got the Aquarian heads.
Yeah.
I got the AXIS Longboards at the time.
Yeah.
And then the only thing I didn't do is I didn't go with Paiste, because while I really like their ride sound, I'm not the biggest fan of the Crash. So I ended up going with the Sabians, which were a bit more meatier for me.
Sabians are good. But
yeah. And I got the Piccolo as well, because like, well, Nick uses a Piccolo. It looks like one anyway. I need to get one. And that's on the honest to God truth, man. What does Nick use? That's what I'm getting. I even have the Gibraltar rack. I don't know if you can see that right behind the hi-hat. It's the Half Moon Gibraltar rack that you, in that famous, I think it's with the black hardware, black cymbals, you in the black sunglasses, that picture. I saw that and I was like, I'm getting a Gibraltar rack.
Yeah, I'm truly humbled by your comments. Thank you very much.
Dude, just go into any YouTube video, Nick, and read the... People are head over heels of how fucking amazing you are as a drummer.
I'm very flattered.
Have you been able to meet any of your drum heroes? I know, actually, on the World Misanthropy DVD for Dimmu, you talked about like Nico.
Yeah.
You've been able to meet those guys?
Yeah, I've met Nico several occasions. But I've been a Sonor artist now since 2007, and myself and Nico have done like various signing sessions for Paiste and Sonor before. You know, like Nam and Music Messer in Germany and stuff. Also Mickey D, he's a Paiste and Sonor guy. Thomas from Sugar, good friend.
Of course, yeah.
His fiance Jessica is actually the female vocalist in Brujeria.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like a cool thing, isn't it? Like listen to those guys and now you play with them.
There's a couple of, I mean, you know, I never got the chance to meet Neil Peart. But by all accounts, he was very much like a recluse, and he struggled with adulation. You know, especially when people like comment about his drumming, he gets weirded out. And I think how I would have approached Neil if I ever got to meet him was talk about motorcycles.
I mean, that used to, from what I understand, it's like his second love, I guess, and travel.
Yeah.
And
yeah, like as soon as people started talking about drums, that's it. He's done.
Checked out.
So
it's like, dang, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that sort of makes sense. It's such a big part of your life. I mean, you would like to talk about other things, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I've met loads of cool killer drummers that I admire. You know, I'm good friends with Gene Hoglan. Me and Gene have been friends for like nearly 30 years now.
Good God, that's so cool, man.
Well, he was dating a friend of mine here in the UK in the very early 90s, and I was dating her friend, so we kind of went on double dates together quite a lot.
The atomic clock. Hey, man, how's it going? Yeah, you know.
Well, you know, I mean, he actually name drops me in the atomic clock video, which I thought was a great honor. You know,
absolutely.
All the drummers in the world he could have mentioned, and he chose to, you know, name drop me.
Well deserved. I mean, people who, I mean, talent is recognizable. Only assholes won't with a big ego won't admit when someone's really good, in my opinion. So
yeah,
like you were talking about Sonor and Paiste. How come you actually went with Paiste over something like Zildjian at the time, which was pretty?
Well, I was with Zildjian back in the early Cradle days.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, if you look at the Astoria live tracks that I play on, that I'm playing Zildjian, the Z series.
Okay.
The old school ones, you know, the really thick ones that Lars used to play.
Sure.
So I was with Zildjian for a number of years, but then when I jumped to Dimmu Borgir, I wanted to try a different cymbal brand because, you know, Zildjian were going to discontinue the Z series.
Well, yeah, okay.
And I was like, well, you know, the other ones, I tried the A's, they were too soft, and the K's, I didn't quite like the sound on the crashes. So our manager at the time said, well, I know the guy at Paiste in Germany. I'll you know, see what he says. And he got back to me, and, you know, they wanted to do a deal, and I've been with Paiste since 2000. 21 years.
Wow. And I have to admit, I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to the different Paiste lines. But you don't use those. You use like 2002s or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, in the Dimmu days, I used a mixture. It was some 2002s, some signature line, a couple of Rudes.
Okay, that's
Dimensions.
Okay, because I remember you just recently posted up like a ride, one of your old rides.
Yeah, that was the Paiste Dimensions 24-inch Mega Power Bell ride.
Ding ding ding.
I used that to record Puritanical, Death Cult, Whole Man's Child. It's done several world tours with me. It's in the Progenies video. It's also can be seen on the Live Misanthropy DVD.
Well, I'll give you my address. You can just send that right on over. All right.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about raffling.
Absolutely, that'd be really, really cool. I think that'd be really great.
So I'm going to get on that this week and post it on my social media.
Killer. I will.
You know, and,
I will take part.
You know, I can sign it and put a personal message on it, and I'm thinking about doing 2 runner-up prizes where I've got a trunk in the guest room which is just full of like Dimmu and Cradle and brewery and memorabilia throughout the years. I just hoard it, and so I was going through it all the other day, and I found like a bunch of like killer old school promo photos of Dimmu and Cradle, and some of them are signed by various band members. So I'm just going to get a like little package together, some like promo photos, this and that, some stickers, stuff that's, you know, not been around for 20 something years.
That's
and
really cool. That's,
you know, so there'll be two runners up that get like a nice little care package from me.
well, when this video goes live, I'll be sure to put your socials in the description so people can jump on that. So that's really cool, man. I mean,
yeah, well, you know, I've got so much equipment that I'm a gear hoarder. I've got so much stuff that, you know, sometimes like at the end of tours, I'll just impulse buy something, and then it'll get put in the storage, and I'll forget about it, and then 5 years later, it's like, oh shit, I forgot I had this.
That's cool. By the way, in that picture I just showed of this of me drumming, I'm actually playing to Blessings. I wanted to mention that. I tried to play to Blessings very often. Kings, I could play the blast beat part, but the feet, I was like, fuck that. Never could get the feet, man. Like, you can do it. So, and you know,
to be honest, Scott, I haven't played those songs in 20 years.
I'm sure you haven't. God damn it! This thing
I don't think I could sit behind the kit right now and okay, Kings of Carnival Creation, go. You know, I'd need a couple of weeks to get my chops back.
Well, it's a completely different style of drumming of what you're doing now. I mean, like, well, plus that kind of shit is hard anyway.
But also like the muscle memory.
Yeah,
the muscle memory. So you know, I need a week or so just to get my chops back and get back in the game, as they say.
Yeah, and the last thing to be, this is not the first time we've spoken. We accidentally spoke about 15 years ago when you were still in Dimmu and you had an email. People could actually email you back in the day.
That's right, yeah.
And I was like, I want to build you a website. And you're like, literally the response I still remember, I don't know if it's word for word, but it says, yes, this is something that needs to get done. My wife is on my ass about it. And then...
Yeah, in fact, I do kind of vaguely remember the email now, because you don't get many emails with people saying, I want to build your website. So, yeah, I do vaguely remember it. And it was something my wife was always on about. You know, you really need to get on top of this social media thing. And, you know, a name like you know, you need to do this. You know, I always have I'm a bit of a technophobe.
It's all good, man.
My technical abilities stretch as far as I can dial in a drum module, and I can do Windows XL.
Yeah, you got me beat on the drum module stuff. I had no idea.
It's pretty easy.
No idea. I mean,
but the new modules now are getting more and more complicated.
It's like you gotta know programming language nearly. Same with everything, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, we sent the email. We shared a couple of emails, and then you stopped playing in Dimmu, and that was it. And I was like, damn it. And then I mean, you were pretty low key guy, so you kind of disappeared until I happened to find you on Instagram. So.
Well, it's people say I went quiet. I just see, because there wasn't much happening on the drumming front, I decided to switch sides, and I went on to the more of the business side of things. I was a tour manager for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
You know, I tour managed. I was Exodus's tour manager in Europe and South America for like 8 years. I've toured with Nile, done several Morbid Angel tours in Europe.
Awesome. I would love to see Nile.
Propane, New York hardcore band. Hate Eternal.
Dude,
you know, so
that's pretty impressive too.
These are all people that I knew from my drumming days, so they needed somebody that, you know, A, they knew already, B, they could trust. And coming from a musician's background, of course, I'm going to have the artist's best interests at heart.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, you
So,
have you have the personal experience of having to be on the other end, so you can,
Yeah, and I'm happy to say that we always got paid.
Well, I mean, listen, I've never met you in person, but you look like you're a full head and a half taller than I am, so I probably wouldn't want to fuck with you too much, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm a good guy until you say you're not going to pay me.
That's what I'm talking about. You know what? Just pay him and maybe give him a 10% extra. Just looks like I piss this guy off. So yeah, speaking of being a musician and stuff, I mean, I know you started drumming basically in '86. I was 1 year old.
Yep.
You were 13. The interesting thing is you got the double pedal first time double bass setup at 90. And you're self-taught, which is something I found quite interesting, actually. But it just seems like playing drums just seemed to be your wheelhouse from the very beginning. I mean, did you try any other? I mean, you mentioned something about guitars, but I'm not real.
Yeah, like it's from the age since I can remember, drums always fascinated me. You'd watch rock concerts on TV and stuff, and the drummer had the mammoth kits, because it was the 70s and the 80s.
Sure.
And like I remember the first time I saw Nico's setup, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. I want to be that guy. And the same with Neil. The first time I saw Neil Peart's kit, I was just like mesmerized, not just by the size of the drums, but all of the extra percussive stuff he had on it too. And like, wow, this dude is on fire. And ever since I can remember, I always wanted to be a drummer. I mean, I did the old thing that most drummers do, and that's playing on the pots and pans with the wooden spoons.
Fair enough, yeah.
But even then, I had rhythm.
Okay.
It wasn't just bashing. It's like I could play like patterns and stuff. It just seemed to be natural to me. And then my stepfather, we shan't talk so much about.
It's all good.
He forced the guitar on me because he was a guitarist, and it just wasn't me. I didn't take to it at all, but it was forced upon me for a couple of years. And then he just gave up because I guess he kind of, well, he's not going to do it. And he succumbed to my request for a drum kit. Every birthday, every Christmas, drum kit. I got a kit. It was like some shitty 5-piece secondhand. I believe it was Apollo, which was like a subsidiary of Pearl. Like really like low end. Like
just to get like let's make sure this kid actually wants to play drums first.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And like after 6 months, it was pretty much destroyed.
Well, you're a heavy hitter, and I mean,
well, you're the first person to say that.
Bullshit! I don't give a fuck what people. I've heard. Listen, we'll get in. There's a couple of questions later on in the interview specifically about this topic, but
yeah,
it's pretty clear. But so when you got started, I mean, like I said, there's no real. In the 80s, they had all the shred metal VHSs and all that shit. But for drumming, there was like, I mean, so how did you form a practice regime? Was there something where you're like, all right, I need to develop hand and foot control? Or you're like, you know what, I'm going to throw on Back in Black and here we go.
That was exactly it.
Okay, fair enough.
I had like some 70s record player in my room with the old school Mickey Mouse headphones with the
antennas,
phone cord. Yeah,
gotcha.
And basically, the first drum beat I ever learned to play was to Highway to Hell.
I mean, nothing wrong with that. Phil Rudd's a
no, not at all. And it came quite natural. It's once I'd figured out, okay, the kick drum is on the 1, and then the snare is on the neck. And I figured that out. It was awesome. It was such an achievement, and then to play the song from start to finish with the little drum fills here and there, it was such a great sense of accomplishment. And then from Highway to Hell, I went on to Give Me All Your Lovin' by ZZ Top because it had the little snare roll in. And then that was actually one of the first drum kits to be triggered.
Is that the one where they did all the songs at like 120 BPM? Or it became like, yeah, okay. So that's that album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Sorry. Yeah.
I learned to play. I learned to play a basic 4/4 rock beat, playing along to AC/DC, and then it progressed to Venom, and then Metallica. I mean, one of the greatest achievements in my early days was when I learned to do the offbeat kick drum, like the intro to The Prisoner by Iron Maiden.
Okay, all right, okay, yeah.
When I learned to do that offbeat kick, that was, oh my God, this is it. I've cracked it now, and that really opened up.
That's cool.
Doorway to play Metallica and everything else. So within 6 months, I was playing along to Master of Puppets.
That's
not all of it.
It doesn't. Yeah, that's cool though.
The mid-tempo stuff. I mean, Battery and Damage Incorporated was that was another story.
Sure.
But it was getting there.
So I mean, how did you even manage? Did you just go to a lot of shows? Did you try to get bootleg DVDs to study?
No, I obsessed over music. I mean,
okay, fair.
My parents, they would go nuts because it would just be on constant loop. I remember when I was in single digits, and I got For Those About to Rock 7-inch, and my record player had this mode where you turn a switch and it would just repeat the track.
Nice. And
it would be hours and hours and hours of the same song, and that's how I basically learned the drums from Metallica. As I'd listen to it 24/7. It was on my mind all the time. Yeah, I just kind of worked it out. Okay, I think it's this. No, that doesn't sound right. Try it a different way. Oh, that's more like it. And that's basically how I, got better. And just practicing. I mean, when I was a kid, my entire life, the moment I got home from school, it was straight on the drums until the stepfather was like, "That's enough."
My dad's reaction was somewhat similar.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, they are drums.
That's not real music, and why are you learning that shit? And,
well, who's smiling now? Let me just say that.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, but I mean, aside from the offbeat kick drum, were there any like other eureka moments that you had where really just like you're here, and then you figure something out, and you literally go to here?
Yeah. When learning the fills like Metallica, and learning the fills and executing them, and playing them like structured and articulated, and then coming back into the beat, that was a big achievement too.
Oh yeah, that's hard actually. Yeah.
When you're learning to play drums, you're not really disciplined on timing and everything, and so the fills is where it can. Okay, I think I was supposed to come back in there.
Yep. mid tom roll shit.
Yeah, that was another great achievement, like playing along to the records and coming out with the fills back into the beat, and it was solid.
I mean, I can totally understand you, because I remember I've been there, where you nail the fill, then you finish like 2 beats early, you're like, ugh. Or you're solid beat late, you're like, ugh. Because you just speed up for some reason. Like you got the beat locked in, and then you do the fill. It's like, ugh, I lost it.
I still do it now in the studio when I'm playing to the click. Always on the fills, I tend to just speed up just a little bit.
It's. I guess it's just something about it. I don't know.
I always seem to come back in on the beat at the end of the fill. But yeah, there's so many times in the studio I get it on the talkback. Stop speeding up.
Shit. But there is one thing that you actually did for me. It was actually on the Dimmu DVD. It's a really small, insignificant moment actually. But I remember having a moment where I could not get my ride hand. It would cramp so bad in this part of my arm. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Anyway, just literally 1 second, you're doing the rag, and then you flip from German to a French on the rag, and I'm like, of course, flip your wrist and different muscle groups. That's when I get
fatigued. If I start to get fatigued, then I have to switch.
Yeah, well, that's the point. I mean, like, you're sitting there, I'm like, oh, he flips his hand, and then it occurred to me, I'm like, oh, we're using different muscle groups now. So then actually for me personally, it just was a almost an instant increase of being able to play longer at faster tempos.
Yeah.
And like I said though, but for me, I'm like silly somehow. It doesn't. The idea is just like doesn't get in. And then I saw you do it, and it was instant understanding. Like, of course, I'm slow.
Well, my old drum tech who he works for Judas Priest now. Um, he used to make fun of me and call the switch that go into the turkey leg.
So I know people who are watching the video, they're all ready to hear about Cradle. All right, and we got to talk about Cradle. I mean, because
yeah, the albatross around my neck.
I mean,
no, I'm just kidding.
we love you, Nick. But I mean, you recently shared a picture on your Instagram, actually. Handsome devil you were in the little early '90s, working on Principle, and
yes,
I was just curious. So, I mean, being like obsessed with music and stuff like that, did you come up with any musical ideas or riffs, or were you just like, I'm the drum guy, I come up with the drum parts?
Every band I've been in, I've always been very hands-on with the song structures and arrangements.
Fair, okay.
I can't write riffs. I wish I could, because I've got some sick ideas, but whenever I try and like hum a melody, I'm so like flat and tuneless, it's pointless. But
Gotcha.
I've always been very, very hands-on with song structures and arrangements. Like for example, like, okay, how about you change the phrasing of the riff to fit this, what I'm playing, and it'll totally transform a piece, and a lot of it's trial and error. Luckily for me, 90% of the time, the other band members call and love my ideas and roll with it. There's that 10% where, nah, I'm not feeling that.
But they try it at least. Or
yeah. I mean, that's how I like to make music. Is let's try, let's try different things. Like it, and trial and error. If it works, great. If it doesn't, let's move on. But I've worked with some musicians that really struggle with that. They're like, well, if it's not broken, then why are we trying to fix it? It's like, well, let's just explore it. It's part of the whole creativity thing. It's if it's good enough, okay, fine, but maybe we could make it better. If not, we'll just come back to the original. But what's the harm in trying?
Again, I'm listen. Everything that I say is out of the utmost respect for what you did in Cradle personally. I still listen to those albums pretty much on the regular.
I mean, my time in Cradle, it was great. I mean, we were young. Everything was happening so fast.
Sure.
We were naive. We didn't know the music industry, as most young bands don't who become successful. But yeah, Dimmu Borgir was a huge step up for me. I mean, in terms of songwriting and the quality of, because see, Shagrath is a musician. Danny is just a vocalist. He's just a lyricist.
Sure.
He can't play music. He doesn't understand music. But the Dimmu guys, I mean, Mustis was from a trained classical background.
Yeah, he's like flying on the keyboard.
Yeah, Vortex is Vortex. Yeah, it was musically, for me, it was a huge step up.
No, I mean, and listen, there was a lot of growth from you personally, actually, from album to album anyway on Cradle. Like, okay, we listened to Principle. You have this really interesting technique on the kick drum, but like when you're doing a blast beat, usually it's pretty common that the people do the double kick, right? Either they do the Euro blast, or
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, or what you do though is you do quarters on the kick, but it's in time with the skank beats after and before the blast. So the kick is always like a meter in the song.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
The reason for that was because the guitar, the band, they couldn't play in time if I did.
Okay.
I just had to make it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
That's hilarious to me.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it stuck, and that's why I never used it ever again. The moment I was out of Cradle of Filth.
By the way, yes, because even in the beginning of 13 Autumns, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's holy crap. I never noticed it at first because you get the whole audio experience, and then you sit there and you get like really. And then when they did the remaster of the album, you could finally hear the goddamn thing better. A lot of the
Yeah.
drum parts really popped out. Like, okay, I don't know if you heard it or whatever, or know about
I
it.
have heard it, yeah, but I thought the toms were kind of buried.
Tom's
It was all kicking there.
well, that's the modern way of mixing, unfortunately.
Yeah, but
well, I mean, anyway,
I
it's
mean,
a smidgen better than the original release.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've A/B'd the two, and the guitar tone and the keyboards are way better on the original. The keyboards on the new one, sounds like they're done on some, my first Casio.
Hello Kitty Casio.
Yeah, and the guitars have no balls whatsoever.
Again, it's I don't know. I mean, I mix music as my personal profession, metal and black metal.
Yeah.
So I mean, that tends to be just a modern way of doing things. They hype the bass guitar a lot, kick drum a lot.
Yeah.
And then
you see, the thing is, when you've got a guy like busting out Lombardo style fills, like,
I understand you. I'm there. I mean, I'm a drummer, so you should just guess what gets first and foremost in my mix.
Listen to Neil Peart. Like, I tell you what, Neil, let's pull those toms back, shall we? Yeah. No, not at all.
He'll be like, let's still have a talk in the hallway for a second.
Yeah.
So I mean, but the cool thing is after that, and then I don't know how you say this. Either it's Vampire or Fifth Empire. I don't know. Whatever. Vampire. Okay.
It's a play on words. It's like the V being the number 5.
Yeah.
The Empire.
Okay.
It was the fifth. It was the 5th Cradle of Filth release because they recorded an album which never ever saw the light of day called Goetia.
I did read about that. Like something happened and then the masters were erased or something.
And then we originally recorded Dusk was going to be the second album.
I've heard the original recording.
After Principle, but because we were broke, we were broke as fuck. We were all on welfare, and we're selling records, but the record label hadn't paid us. Basically, what they did was they used all the money from Cradle of Filth to build the label to sign other artists. So, we decided, okay, we'll tell them, like, we're keeping the masters of the new album until, you account, we see, like, accounting statements and we see some money. Because the Principle of Evil Made Flesh actually recouped on pre-sales.
It's a good album.
Yeah. I mean,
okay,
we were young.
Listen, every time we say this, though, Nick, it's always you got to remember it back then. I mean, we're older now, of course, and there's always a difference later on in life.
Absolutely. I mean, I was 20 years old when I recorded.
I mean, so you think about that for a second, you go, pretty good album.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of it. It's one of those albums that it turned heads. At the time, there was nothing else like it, even in black metal.
Yeah.
But it had its own identity, its own sound. It didn't sound, we weren't trying to be Norwegian or Scandinavian. Sure. We drew a lot of influences from different things, like the British thrash band Sabbath were a big influence on us. I'll let you into a little secret. Okay, yeah, it was black metal, but the Cradle Blast, the China Blast?
Yeah.
I actually ripped that off from Brutal Truth. That's the Brutal Truth Blast.
That's hilarious. But I mean, you just elongated it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where I got the inspiration from, and that's a grindcore band. I mean, even back then, we listened to all kinds of music. I mean, I love grind, I love punk, I love hardcore, death metal, thrash, traditional metal, rock, classic rock, country, everything, goth.
So the reason I brought up Vampire was the double kick work from Principle. For people who don't know, this is basically a 2-year span. Principle comes out and then Vampire. But it's like you mastered the heel toe in a span of 2 years between those two albums. It's what it sounds like because you're putting in a lot of triplets.
No heel toe. I just play straight.
That's even more impressive because you're
heel up.
That's pretty impressive. What I'm for people who don't know, what I'm specifically referencing, you could do a kick snare, or kick snare, right? He's doing like quads. So imagine the tempo was and he rips a quad in 4 hits between a snare. Now that was not existent on Principle. That happened everywhere you could fit it in on Vampire.
Well,
I mean, how did you do that? I mean, 2 years is not a long time.
First of all, back to my friendship with Gene. Before I joined Cradle, Gene was telling me, I'm drumming for Death now. We just recorded the new album. It's really groovy. I'm doing a lot of shit on there that's really good. He played me some tracks, on the tape deck in the car, and it changed my life forever. And Gene's drumming on that albums for me. That is what basically forged Vampire.
Fair enough.
There's actually, I ripped off a bunch of fills. There's the polyrhythmic splash thing on Queen of Winter Throned.
Yes. Okay.
It's
at the end of the song. Yep.
Yeah, that's on the Death record.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and Gene. Also, I got to mention as well that that was the first time I'd actually triggered the kicks on Vampire.
Okay.
So that made a lot of difference too. It made the kicks more punctual. You can hear every hit. We triggered them on an old Akai S1000 sampler.
Nice.
Back in the day.
Sure.
Before Alesis even came up with the D4, I think.
Yeah, before their brain came out.
Yeah.
And then you still played it live though, because back then, Principle and Vampire, and I'm assuming Dusk and Cruelty were all to tape, right?
Yeah, it's all 2-inch.
Right. So that's a printed kick sample.
Yeah, basically they just triggered it from tape.
So I'm just trying, because again, from the modern point of view, people are thinking, "Oh, big deal." I'm still saying that you played the damn drums, and they're not edited to shit.
There's no editing whatsoever on any of those Cradle albums because they were recorded on tape, 2-inch.
Exactly. So I mean, that's this one, guys. That's the big bastard, the 2-inch tape.
Yeah.
And editing that, you could, but I mean, you're not editing those kind of drums.
No. It's the only editing you did back then. It was called splicing, where and you had to be really good at it because if you fucked it up, the whole reel would be ruined. And it's basically you could edit like, okay, for example, instead of 8 bars, can we make it 4 bars? So the engineer would cue up the tape. Okay, that's the part there, and then they'd splice the tape and then piece it back together. And that was editing back in the day.
I'll pass.
Yeah, I mean,
new take. Do it again.
I mean, my good friend Andy Sneap. We've been friends since we were teenagers. He was telling me back in the day when he was like, The Apprentice, and he had to splice tape, and he said it was the most nerve-wracking thing because the producer they'd fuck off out to lunch, say, right, edit that, splice it better be good for when I get back. And, you'd be so nervous because if it's like a nanosecond out, it's done. The whole reel's fucked.
That's like, I'm already got pretty shaky hands, but put some pressure on it.
I mean, it's giving me anxiety just thinking
about it. Yeah, I'm just sitting there going, my armpits are starting to get wet.
Yeah.
Sweaty armpits already. But I mean, so the kick drum stuff is pretty fucking amazing, and like I know that you just recently got a Carrito double pedal, but for the longest time you were like, you're not a double pedal player.
Yeah.
Could you extrapolate a little bit why you're not like against the double pedal, but why you would prefer not to play on a double pedal?
Well, I was against them for years because basically, I always felt that the slave pedal always lagged. It doesn't respond the same as 2 singles. And the slave pedal, which for me would be the left pedal, it just always seemed to lag. And it affected my playing as I just could not... It just didn't feel right. And the pedal company that I've been with now, Jarzi Kopyto, the Polish pedals, amazing pedals. I've been with Jarzi for like 10 years. And my new band, Borstal, which is like it's kind of like a New York hardcore thing I'm doing. because it's a style that I've not done before that I really like, and because of the space in the jam room and the studio, etc. It's like, okay, I'll roll with a single kick, and I was playing my trick pedal at the time, my Pro V Bigfoots, and it's like, well, this is okay. I think I could do double pedal anyway. So that was in the rehearsal room, and then I reached out to Georgi Copito and said, look, I'm playing this new band. I've got a single kick. I'd really like. Could you send me the conversion kit to make my single pedals into a double pedal, or is it possible you could send me a double pedal as a loaner just for the session? I'll send it back. They sent me one straight away down to the studio. I set it up, and I'll tell you, dude, I've never played a double pedal like this. I mean, it's like two singles.
It's incredible.
It's so responsive. It's unbelievable. I was like absolutely blown away. And for years and years, I was kind of like an anti-double pedal guy.
Sure.
Like you thought, well, Dave Lombardo doesn't use one, and Pete Sandoval doesn't use one, and Derek Wright doesn't use one. That.
No, I'm gonna.
And I get it. Like there's some amazing players that play double pedal, single kick. I mean, holy shit! I mean, just look at John Longstreth.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, it's that dude. Is he real? I just
robot.
Every time I see John, and John's really cool too. Every time I see John, I'm just like, dude, I quit. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, and he's ridiculous.
And he's actually stood behind me and watched me play before. I never felt so fucking nervous in my entire life. Like every little fumble, it's like, oh, John saw that.
He noticed.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah, and the same with Gene too. But with Gene, back in the day, I used to have a secret weapon. Like I'd get him hammered before.
Oh yeah, how was it, Gene? I mean, great.
I'd get him shit-faced. Like
that's funny.
A bottle of Absolute. There you go, Gene. That's from me to you, brother.
Drink it now.
Yeah, drink it now before we play. And I'm so buzzed and happy, and it's like, yeah, I'm sure I didn't see that little fumble.
Don't worry about it. I mean, now I actually, the unfortunate thing is I basically stopped playing drums about 5 years ago. I mean, I'm in Ukraine now. You know how Eastern Europe is. You don't really have houses where you can have a nice big old kick, and it's hard to get really good equipment out here. So the last thing that I played on was actually a longboard with the variable live drive. The variable. Oh my God. Let me try this again. The variable drive lever. Got it.
Yeah.
Which the idea was at the time revolutionary because you had the chain or you had the leather strap. And then I'm explaining this for people who don't know. The idea was that it was direct drive, i.e. the moment your toe touched the footboard, the beater would move.
Yeah.
Now, back then you had the variable lever where you could change the weight. Do you remember at all how you used to set up your old longboards, or not at all?
Yeah. Yeah.
And are the new pedals similar, or are they completely different design?
Well, my Georgi Copitos are totally different to AXIS. If you're talking about AXIS.
Yeah. I remember. I know
I've got the.
They're also direct drive, right?
Yeah. I've got the old school AXIS. Doesn't have the variable thing on that you
gotcha.
About.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember the setup pretty easy. The board adjustment, the foot.
Yeah, of course.
Foot plate adjustment.
Right.
Probably like about a 1/4 inch from the bottom.
Okay.
That was my setting.
I'm trying to remember what that feels like because it was always hard for me to find a setting that you either got really good at playing fast.
Yeah.
When you need to play slow, it was too fucking light.
Yeah.
That was the problem that I was running into with the longboards.
My only problem with AXIS, and they're great pedals, obviously. I mean, they're still like very popular. My only problem with AXIS is they're amazing for speed, but you can't rock out on them because you try
no power.
Yeah, you try playing like just some fucking straight up like Motley Crue shit or whatever. The beater almost repels. When you play into it.
They bounce off the head.
Yeah. It kind of, it's like, whoa, this isn't what we do. But for the speed, I mean, you know, they're second to none. But with the Jarji Copitos, you can really like play into it, you know, and they're equally as responsive. They're absolutely amazing.
Yep, and I mean, this was 2002, 2003 when I was making these observations. I just thought I sucked playing drums. I was like, I guess I'm just not doing something right. But like playing like Motley Crue, I would go with like a Tom Iron Cobra, so I could just drive.
So you
could just drive the Just want to put a hole in the kick drum with Motley Crue, and then doing your stuff with Cradle, just like Muhammad Ali, light as a feather, kind of get on there. You know what I mean? But then you got to play into it. It's like, I'm variable drive lever, can't figure it out. So that was just out of curiosity asking you. And people watching, I'm sorry, but these are questions I've had for 15 years. My channel deal with it.
It's all good. We can do this all night.
Anyway, and so moving on into Vampire, those like kick drum heaven. Dusk, I think your fills took just went whoop to another level, as in creativity. Like you always were good with fills. I love how, and I never played doubles because Nick doesn't play doubles. He plays singles. And then, but the opening of Funeral in Carpathia is still to this day one of my most favorite ways you've opened a song, because it's just dun, 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 dun. And then the skank beat you do there is actually just as impressive.
Thank you.
Because that is really fucking hard to do. And he's doing, it's kick and hat at the same time, and then the snare in between, as far as I can hear it.
Yeah,
right?
It's kind of like a mid-pace blast beat, if you like.
But it's too slow to use. It's like one of those beats where I feel like you have to use full body movement.
Yeah,
because it's too slow to transition to wrists. That's one of my favorite things you've ever done, and I was just curious: is that inspired from somebody, or you just one day sitting there going, we need to open this song somehow? Why do I just do this?
I was just noodling on the drums, like guitar players do.
Sure.
And it's actually the technique to that fill. It's a quad. It's 2 on the hands, 2 on the feet, then the next tom, and so on.
Are you serious? Okay, I thought it was 4/4.
No,
quad. Okay.
It's quads, like 1, 2 on the hands, 3, 4 on the feet.
Gotcha. All right.
Or it might be actually 5, because I think I do like a triplet on the kicks. I think that was it.
Anyway, it sounds fucking awesome.
Thank you. Well, yeah, like I said before, Dusk and Embrace was actually the second album, and
Oh yeah, sorry.
So, yeah, we were working on on the fills and everything else, trying to make it better. And actually, Vampire was the EP we legally had to deliver to the label to get us out of the contract, so we could then take the Dusk and Embrace masters to a new label.
Right. And how come you guys decided to re-record it? I mean,
because we weren't really happy with a lot of the stuff like that we'd laid down. Sure. And the new label were like, well, look, we want you to go in and re-record it. And we listened back to the original, and like, I was like, there's nothing wrong with the drums. We should keep the drums. And so the drums are the only original.
You kidding me?
No, the drums are original from the
that's
very
fucking
first
impressive.
One. So if you listen to the re-release of Dusk, the first,
the original Sing, I think it's called.
Yeah. If you A/B them, you can tell like the drums. Obviously, the sound is different, but it's exactly the same. But
that's awesome.
The guitars, the vocals, everything got re-recorded.
That's good stuff. There's one break left on Dusk and Her Embrace. Actually, the title track, Dusk and Her Embrace.
Yeah.
It's the outro when you start going ham on the fucking drums. What the fuck, Nick? What happened there?
I just okay. We're going into a blast, so let's just make it pure chaos.
Yeah, but it's legitimately 30 seconds of you singles just hammering away.
Yeah. The thing is, I didn't play the exact same thing every night.
Well, yeah. I mean, I understand. I think it's normal for all drummers to do that. You just kind of do the idea. I never could understand where did this idea come from. He just sits there. He goes, "Well, we're gonna do this riff, repeat it a few times, go into a blast bit," and you're like, "Guys, I have the idea."
For me, like when I hear riffs, like you could give me a pile of riffs, a bunch of riffs, And how I see them mentally is like jigsaw pieces.
Okay.
And I just like that will fit with that, and then that goes with that, and I put them together, and it seems to work. With the drums, because I think because I had guitar forced on me, and I love guitarists, by the way. I'm actually a bigger fan of guitars than I am drums.
But you're like a drum god.
Thank you. But I absolutely love guitars. I mean, some of my favorite guitarists are like Gary Holt, Eddie Van Halen, Malcolm Young, you know, Jake E. Lee, Randy Rhoads, Warren DeMartini, you know, and Michael Schenker, Richie Blackmore, stuff like that. And so whenever I've approached the drums, I always try and it's weird. How can I explain them? I try and look at it from a musical perspective. Try and make them as musical as possible.
Okay.
You know, it needs to follow the rhythm and the melodic structure of the riff. I always try and complement whatever the music is doing. You know, like not just showboating for the sake of it. You know, it's got to fit with the music. It's got to feel like it's all one thing. You know, like if it was a guitar, where you know, how would it move? You know, from A to B. You know, and like that, and also like Gene Hoglan is a guitar player too.
That I did not know, actually.
He's actually as good on guitar as he is on the drums. Trust me. So I used to talk to Gene a lot about, you know, his approach to drums, and he'd say, "Well, because I play guitar too, I'm kind of playing drums, but looking at it from the guitarist perspective, and that's what I try and do as well."
Okay, that makes sense, and that actually leads perfectly into this question where I was learning 13 Autumns at a Window on guitar.
Yeah.
I mean, Cruelty is my favorite album, so whatever. And I'm sitting there playing one time, and then it literally occurred to me that you do the splash trick. I don't know if it even makes sense to try and hum the melody to anymore. I guess it doesn't matter. But just what happens is the rhythm of the guitar and that splash sync up. It doesn't necessarily sync up with the drum beat. And then and then after that, dun 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 dun, and you're going on the. You pretty much already explained it that it's on purpose, and now we know why. And that's what really attracted me to Cradle and your style of drumming was that it's not just balls to the wall blast beats, which are cool. I'm a big fan, but it's like the cymbal work. The cymbal work is really what attracted me. That was the major difference. Like you literally played piano or guitar with your cymbals.
That's exactly what I wanted to achieve. Like, you know, I hear so many drummers, you know, they're great, but it just seems like it's like a drum solo throughout. Yeah, you know,
Sure.
with music, I mean, cool. If you're doing a drum solo, great, but with music, you have to know, okay, I need to pull back here. You know, okay, and then this is where I want to come forward and I want to shine. You know, so it's knowing where to pull back and let the rest of the band do their thing. And then when it's time for you to come up front and like, yo, Barker in the house. And I don't mean no disrespect to any drummers. It's just,
no.
Yeah, I try and listen to it in a musical context. You know, like, you know, some drummers would do something way more flamboyant there than what I did. But, you know, I'm thinking, well, maybe, you know, that bit should be left for the keyboards or the guitars.
Well, that's why the music is better when you have a person who's able to think of like other people in the band. Other people exist.
And
it's
you know,
important.
little bits like accents on the riffs, like or certain phrasing. You know, I'll put like a subtle splash hit in.
Yep.
To bring art out, you know?
Yeah, and that's what the most amazing thing is to me. And I think that's what makes music re-listenable. I mean, any music, you can listen to it, but I mean, it's so layered, a lot of the songs in the Cradle, and Dimmu as well, where you'll be sitting there one day and you'll go, I don't remember hearing that. And there's literally another melody layered up on here, or you realize something else has happened in the song that you didn't hear previously. Which is why I recommend highly that everyone just ignores the vocals and listens to the music, because there's so much stuff going there. It's super impressive.
It's the same one I blast on the ride, what I call the 3/4 blast. You know, I'll create like bell patterns that complement the movement and the structure of the riff.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of follows the phrasing of the riff, you know, and it kind of the blast then takes on a groove of itself, but it also makes it a little bit more original than just playing a straight up blast that how many times do we have to hear it, you know?
Sure, yeah.
I try and add flavor here and there, whether it's like subtleties or a blatant like in your face thing.
I think we can end the Cradle era now. And we can go into the Dimmu era, which is I know you're pretty fond of. So the biggest difference for you, obviously, in Dimmu and Cradle, you already touched on it a little bit, being the musicianship. But was there more musical freedom for you? Was there? I mean, because logistically, it didn't get any easier because now they're in a different country, and
it actually worked out. It's not that difficult, really. I shipped my drum kit got shipped over to Norway, and you know, whenever the guys needed me, I'd just fly over and stay with them. It was really, really simple.
Oh, that's pretty cool, actually.
My drums were already there, but because of that, I didn't have a drum kit at home. So
sure,
I eventually ended up purchasing the very first V drum kit with the TD10 module.
Okay, so your Pearl, the red with the gold hardware, went to Norway.
Yeah, the Masters Custom.
Nice.
That got shipped to Norway.
You still have that kit?
Yes, but it's not gold anymore.
What color did you move?
No, what happened was I took it out of retirement when I got the black Masterworks kit.
Right.
And I stripped the shells because the gold hardware was starting to look a bit tired.
Gotcha.
It's only gold plated, and you know you polish it up enough times and
it comes off.
You know, yeah. So it was looking tired and a bit worn. So I stripped the shells down and got the shells re-lacquered. And then because I was with Pearl at the time, I got them to I replaced basically all of the gold hardware. I got the OptiMount, the suspension mounts, the OptiMounts, and instead of triple flange hoops, I got the black die-cast hoops.
Okay, there you go.
So I basically just replaced all of the gold hardware, the lugs and everything, the rims, with black.
Oh, it's black. All right.
Yeah,
that's also a good choice.
Yeah, and it looks. I mean, it looks beautiful. That kit now is, geez, how old is it now? It's 25. It'll be 25 years old this year.
That's incredible.
And it looks amazing, but I don't play it anymore. It's in storage.
That's a museum piece.
Yeah, every now and again I'll bust it out, just say, "Wow, you look fucking beautiful."
Put you back in the case, darling.
Also, the thing is, Scott, is that was the first drum kit I ever had from new, so it's got a lot of great sentimental value to me as well.
Well, I mean, you earned it, man. It's not like it was handed to you, you know. I mean,
thank you.
I mean, again, I got Pearl. Like, what does Barker use? Pearl. I'm getting Pearl. I mean, it was a Pearl export, but still, I didn't know any difference. I'm like, it's the drums, Pearl, you know. I mean,
bro, the Vampire and Principal recorded on my burgundy wine red Pearl export.
So it's the player, not the drums.
Yeah,
basically.
No.
So I mean, going from Cradle to Dimmu, because I think the fans can be kind of silly here, because at that time, especially in the late 90s and shit, there was the Cradle camp and then there was the Dimmu camp. You know, it's like two different football teams, right? And then the goalie from one football team went to the other fucking football team. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So was there any backlash? I mean, that sounds like a silly question. Or did people pretty much go, oh, Barker, kick ass? Because they had the one drummer for such a long time.
Yeah, there's no real backlash with me. See, because when I joined Dimmu, I invited the Cradle guys around to my apartment on the Monday, say, I'm done, I'm out, you know, for whatever reasons. Shit's not right, you know, there's too many red flags. and not enough transparency. So I'm out. That was on the Monday. On the Wednesday, I'm in Norway, jamming Morning Palace and Tormentor of Christian Souls. Yeah, I got the gig. So, like literally the cradle door not even hit me on the arse on the way out, and I was already in Dimmu.
Yeah, I mean, who else were they going to hire? I mean, you're pretty much the guy at that point, and you were the perfect guy for those 2 albums because, I mean, you were sufficiently different from how it used to be. Way more atmospheric, and then I don't like using words like this, but decidedly more technical in nature when you came on. Production also increased significantly, I think. Even though Dimmu always gets shit on for always having good sounding albums, ironically enough, on the
Dimmu guys hate Puritanical. They blame. I think Shagrath kind of blames me for that album.
Puritanical? Why? It's like one of your flagship albums that people love.
I think if I remember right, he blames me because I've made his band sound like Pantera, something like that. Yeah. It's being remixed actually.
Oh, cool. Well, I mean, you guys, I'm sure you guys still talk. He can't hate you that much.
Yeah. I mean, I don't speak to Shagrath for no reason.
Oh, just
but I'm still
sort of.
I'm still really tight with Silenos.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, like, look, people just grow.
We chat pretty much every day,
No, say hi. And I personally like Puritanical a lot and Death Cult. So, Me too. That's fine. So we can actually get on the topic of Puritanical for a couple of reasons. One, the drum sound. All right, you already touched on it. Okay, so we talked about before, like you beat the shit out of your drums. You can see the dents in the heads whenever there's a shot of you playing drums. Right. This is 2000. What year is this? One? I don't remember.
2001.
People on the forums at the time were talking shit about you because the entire thing's triggered. Right. And actually, the Dimmu guys are defending you. Like it's just a sound thing. So you can finally clear the air, Nick. Where did the idea for the drum tone come from for Puritanical, and why did you use the triggers?
Okay, I used the triggers purely and simply because my good friend Jan Axel, aka Hal Hammer, triggered his entire kit on the Grand Declaration of War.
Okay.
Which came out in 2000. I liked how you could hear every single hit and it was clear and precise. Now, a lot of people, and you know this too, a lot of people, oh, triggers are cheating. No, they're not. The triggers only play what you play if they're dialed incorrectly. So if you play like shit, it's just going to reproduce shit.
And double trigger.
Yeah.
So it'll sound worse, actually.
So I got the idea from, Mayhem did it. I want to roll with that kind of thing. And the sounds weren't the greatest, but I didn't really have much of a say on that. I would have preferred the toms to have a little bit more, like, pull back the velocity, so there's a bit more dynamic, and also maybe a better tom sound. But the kick sample is actually. It's ripped off from 5 Minutes Alone by Pantera. The beginning part.
Of course I do. Yeah, man. I mean, shit.
The reason why I wanted that because I knew that Frederick Nordstrom, the producer, also used that same kick sample on the At the Gates album, Slaughter of the Soul, but it's blended with other sounds.
It's so fascinating for me to questions that I've had for so many years, Nick, and the answers are simpler than I could imagine. You know what I mean? It's just like, why did you do that? Sorry. Well, I fell down and I just that's what happened.
Yeah. The kick sample on Puritanical, it's 5 Minutes Alone. It's Pantera, Far Beyond Driven.
That's awesome. But it's not why, if anything, I never thought of Pantera when I listened to that album, ever. Never, not once.
Yeah, well, I think certain people in the band, past and present, kind of blame me for.
Well, they can just get over it because it's probably one of the most, at the time, I would have to say, commercially successful at the time for Dimmu. But I will go ahead and say it. It can be unpopular opinion. I still think people that might be their favorite record of all time from Dimmu, that record and earlier, that whole period.
Yeah, I mean, I am aware. Like a lot of the fans do say that the Barker albums are the best ones, and I do get a sense of pride from that because I I was very hands on with those
Dude,
records.
you crushed it, literally and figuratively. Death Call Armageddon, same thing. For the world to dictate our death, probably has the most amazing 30 seconds of drumming on tape. You have it's not just the fill in the beginning, it's the fill that goes seamlessly into the fucking blast after that. It's one thing to have a kick-ass fill. Fine, great. But a lot of drummers, there's going to be a break for them to catch their breath, be it a bar or literally a beat or two. But you go dun, 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 and then dun, 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 woo, right into it. Incredible. Again, you just were fucking around one day and it was like, let's do this. And then.
Well, they had the beginning of the song that didn't, and I was thinking, it's the beginning of the song. It's got to have impact. So I was kind of doing. It started off on the splashes on the snare,
right,
and then it's like, wait, I can take this somewhere else, and then that's when I put the fills in.
How many takes did that take to record?
Oh, I can't remember. Probably 2 or 3. I get really bad anxiety in the studio. I get what we call, what's known in the industry as red light fever.
Oh man, that sucks.
Because it's to the click, so everything's sterile.
Sure.
When you're in a rehearsal environment, there is push and pull with the tempo, and you'll do some really flamboyant fill, which works great in the rehearsal room, but then when it's actually you have to execute it to a grid, it's like, whoa, oh fuck, maybe I have to rethink this part.
I kind of wish that we would get away from the metronome stuff so much. I mean, like I say, I make money editing drums, and there are some people that just don't belong recording drums yet because they're not even at that level.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, modern technology has made musicians, especially drummers, it's made them lazy.
I wish I could disagree with you, but I mean,
you can go in the studio half-assed and we can just fix it later. It's like back in the 2-inch reel-to-reel days, dude. You had to have your shit down.
Right, because the tape costs money, not unlimited amount of retakes. Punching in. You can punch in probably, but I mean,
you can punch in, but it's like you really had to have your shit down because you have to play. We can't go with tape. You can't go back and just edit the kicks, or we'll just fix the MIDI.
Yeah,
because on tape, it's not on a computer screen.
Yeah, so, but that's I think meta people, or at least I've been tired of it for 10 years already. But I mean, now I think the consumers perhaps may be finally getting tired of it as well.
With the clicks, with the click track today, I think it's become like a necessary evil. Just because of how technology is, and it certainly makes everything tighter, but at the same time, I think it makes things sterile. It takes some of the heart and soul out of some of the music.
Like you said, the push and pull, being able to feel it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to say about that. I mean, if I ever got drums from you and they were like, edit these, I'd probably be like, I'm not touching them.
I'll be the first to admit, my drums have been edited in the studio in the past.
Everyone, every drummer.
But see, in the death metal circles, it's taboo. Oh no, my drums for one take.
Bullshit.
There is people. But yeah, I get. I'm not afraid to admit it. I get bad anxiety and I get the red light fever. Especially because it's to a click and it's so clinical now. Because like what you can do like on Pro Tools, it's tracking with tape. It wasn't like that. It was a whole different process.
If people have never recorded before, they just don't understand. It's so weird of a process. Sometimes the song literally just goes whoop, no problem, and then the next song is just a straight 4/4 rock beat, and you can't play the shit at all.
Yeah.
And they look at you like, dude, you just did that shit in one take here, and what's this? You can't play this little AC/DC bait. What the hell's going on?
Well, I got a little story to tell you. Actually, I've got I've got a classic 80s metal cover band here at home in Chesterfield.
Cool.
You know, we play all the 80s hair metal stuff, you know, Motley Crue. We play Priest, Saxon, Wasp, Van Halen, Guns N' Roses, all that stuff. Okay. The one song that I fuck up royally every fucking time in rehearsal is This Love by Whitesnake.
In this love, do.
Yeah, right. And it's such an easy song, but I always fuck it up. And much to the annoyance of my band members, they're like, dude, you fucking wrote that Dimmu Borgir bullshit and you can't even play this. They always bust my balls, you know, like you play in a million death metal bands and shit and blast beats, but you always fuck this up. You know, I'll get it right one day.
Yeah.
When we do a gig.
I'll do it. I'll do it at the minute. Yeah, all right, whatever. Yeah, so you were, and then the cool thing is once you were in Dimmu, Galder, you know, you played on In Defiance.
Yes.
That's old man's child in Defiance of Existence. So I mean, how hard did you have to twist your arm to play on that, or was that pretty much like yes, I'll play?
Well, he asked me if I'd do it, and I said, yeah, of course, because logistically, I mean, you know, we rehearsed in the Dimmu jam space, and yeah, it just felt the natural thing to do.
It's a great album.
Thank you. I'm really proud of it.
I actually was just listening to it the other day. It's the only one I listened to because you're on it. I mean,
yeah. So I think I'm not just saying this because I played drums on it, but I think it's one of the better Old Man's Child records.
Now, the interesting thing is because you played with so many different bands, you were like helping Galder, Dimmu, in 2 days playing Dimmu songs after beating Cradle. Do you have a trick, or is there some method you remember all this fucking material? So when you play live,
obsess over music.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That's a good answer.
I know it's a cliche thing to say, but it's my life. Since I was a kid, you know, I was in single digits. It just spoke to me like. You know, I wouldn't give a fuck if I never watched another TV show ever again.
But if they took the radio away,
I'd go insane without music. Right. Yeah, like Nietzsche said, without music, life would be a mistake.
Full on, absolutely. So that makes sense.
You know,
so I mean,
I can't imagine my life without music.
No, I mean, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure to listen to you. So here's a question for. I actually I have a Discord. I have a couple products to help people make music better. And one of the questions, obviously, that they asked me to ask you was, any chance that you'll be with Dimmu or Old Man Child again?
I don't think Old Man's Child will ever play live,
or a record, or anything, any kind of collaboration again.
If Galder asked me, I'd love to do it. Yeah, the same with Dimmu. But honestly, I think with Dimmu, it's not going to happen because, you know, the boss is not. I'm not his favorite person.
No, that's oh well, whatever.
It's a shame because, you know, for the fans, I'd do it at least for the fans. But I'd love to do it. I've got no animosity towards any of those guys. You know, I'd love to do it.
Now, you actually recently stopped playing for Lockup, which I didn't realize that you guys have been a fucking band for 20 years. And I bought Pleasure Wave Sewers right when you released it, so I've been a fan since day one there, too.
Thank you.
I remember reading a quote.
Yeah,
go ahead.
After, after like 20 years, you know, and, you know, Jesse passed away.
Yeah, that
and
sucked.
This and that, and, you know, after 20 years, it was like, I'm not really feeling it anymore. You know, I want more from it.
Sure. What?
You know, I want to do more with it. And, you know, just other people with other commitments and this and that. And, you know, it was time for me to do something different.
I remember reading a quote from you, Stiffening of the Arm. Where did that come from? It's just like some media stuff, or you're just kind of like, I'm every last bit of energy?
I think it's a combination of being self-taught, so I've got poor technique. Like with Lockup, you know, I could feel like some repetitive strain injury.
Okay.
Like it just felt stiff, you know, and I think it's just from years of bad technique. But that's not the reason why I quit Lockup at all, and I do.
Well, what's the ingredient of keeping a band together for 20 years? That's a feat.
Just being cool, no egos, and being brothers. Transparency is another thing.
Now, when you say transparency, what do you mean by that actually?
Well, you know, like this is how much we're getting paid.
Okay, so
this is how much
gotcha.
it costs us in overheads. This is how much we pay people. You know, and this is what should be left at the end of it.
Okay.
You know, when it's all like hush hush and, you know, like the Cradle days, for example, it's like, you know, to me that sends red flags flying.
Yeah.
You know, why you know, why am I being called a troublemaker? Because I want to know, well, how much does the tour bus cost? How much is this tour grossing? You know, can I see the accounts? Well, why do you want to see the accounts? Nobody else does, Nick. Why do you always have to be problematic? See, right there,
I get you.
That was a legitimate request. The fact that people are stalling only means one thing: they're fucking dirty.
Yeah, something's not full. Yeah,
you know. And the reason why I know Cradle of Filth was fucking dirty is because I made more money on my first Dimmu Borgir tour than I did in all of the fucking Cradle of Filth tours.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, as a fan of the band, I mean, that always sucks to learn shit like that. But I mean, can't say it's very surprising.
It's rife in the industry.
Yeah.
You only have to look at Sharon Osbourne.
Who? No, I'm kidding.
Know, it goes all the way up to the top,
yeah.
You know, and she's got so much fucking money. Why would she have an issue to pay musicians? Why hold out?
Yep.
You know, is their livelihood. You know, she's a fucking billionaire. You know, pay them what they fucking do. Pay them what they're owed.
Especially, you know? I mean, especially, it's not easy actually. I mean, maybe it's a bit easier to tour now with some of the modern conveniences, laptops and internet. I mean, like George Corpse Grinder's famous now for doing his World of Warcraft rant. I mean,
oh yeah, I know.
I would really like to talk with him.
I'm good mates with George.
Oh man, tell him I say hi, please. And he's an awesome fucking guy. But I mean, like compared to actually you can compare both worlds because you toured into the States even in the mid '90s, and then you toured now. Is there any sort of life improvements, or is it kind of much a ball ache either way?
Well, you know, back in the see, I did my first tour back in 1990 when I was 17. The very first time Deicide came over to Europe.
Ooh, nice.
And back then there was no fucking computers, no smartphones. Everything was done by fax or by phone. You know, and back then too, the European Union, it wasn't a single currency union. Each state had their own fucking currency. So you'd be on tour in Europe.
Oh boy.
And you'd stop at a gas station in the middle of the night and you'd have to be like, which country are we in? Belgium. So you'd have to go through a fucking whole bag of like shrapnel coins, looking for the ones that say Belgium on it. So you could go and get, you know, like a sandwich or something.
Good Lord.
And the same, you know, same with the payphones. You know, like in the States, you'd literally be there with like $10 in quarters, just feeding them into the phone.
Yeah. Oh, you know? Payphones, Nick. That's a word I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. My youngest kid doesn't even know what one is.
That's hilarious. But and there's one project I want to act. One of your side projects is pretty interesting. It's the Blue Bonnets. The blue. The how in the hell did you get roped into that one?
Sorry, it's called Metal Militia.
Okay.
The song was actually called Blue Bonnets.
Oh, I'm sorry, then I messed up then.
It's all good. It was a friend of mine. He was the head of the art department at Nottingham University, and he got he'd got like an arts grant from the government, and he wanted to do something that incorporated traditional Scottish bagpipes, but with a metal twist.
Okay.
So
that's cool, though.
Yeah, and we did it up in Berwick-on-Tweed, which is on the Scottish-English border. Really beautiful place. And so we had a day rehearsals with the girls doing the bagpipes, and basically I just like you said earlier, what would Barker do? It's like, okay, what would Gene Hoglan do on this?
Okay, fair enough.
And I just basically Hoglanized it.
That was such a unique blend, and people sat there, and it's so funny too. It's like a clash of cultures. You got some people sitting there like you're just blasting away, and they're kind of like, "What the hell am I listening to?"
There were like proper business suits
Yeah.
in there. You know, there wasn't really any like metal kids
No.
as such.
What was the
You know, there
atmosphere
was,
like for you there? Or
it was great. Everyone was super friendly. You know, it was. I was a little bit out of my comfort zone, but the people that showed up and everything, it was just a great experience.
That's cool.
You know, to do something as cool and as unique and original like that is like, yeah, I had to jump on it because, you know, at the end of the day, I don't just want to be pigeonholed as like a black metal, death metal drummer. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not. I thought.
Well, you know, a lot of people kind of, you know, label me as that.
They just don't. They just know. They're not really aware of how much you've done. Like, there's another project you did. I don't remember the name. Leaves or something. It's like super slow stuff.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. That was after Testament. After I was in Testament, I came back to the UK and I was like, well, what do I want to do? I don't want to do another black metal project or. So I thought, well, you know, do something a bit more mainstream, you know. And at the time, it looked like Leaves' Eyes were going to be like the new Nightwish.
Yeah, I remember hearing about them.
Yeah,
I don't remember what happened to them though. I don't know what went on.
But it was very short lived. I mean, you know, it really wasn't my cup of tea. You know, just how, yeah, just the politics and everything.
Weak. Yeah, it's always something like that.
You know, I gave it a shot, and it was like, nah, this ain't for me.
Fair enough. I mean, tried it. No. Now, there's actually another one you've done that also is, again, unique. The Obskkvlt. I don't know how you would pronounce it.
Yeah.
Obskkvlt.
Yeah. That was really challenging.
There's a video of you fucking sweating bullets in the studio doing some tracking, and even I'm kind of like, balls. That looks difficult.
It was true because it was time signatures, and patterns that I wasn't accustomed to.
There you
it
go.
Was like,
yeah.
You know, I was like, you know, I loved it. It was a great experience, and I'd love to do something more like that again because, you know, it's like you can get too comfortable in your little bubble,
right?
You know, and I wanted to see, you know, I wanted to push myself, like see where I can go. You know, I want to try different things, and you know, that was it was kind of like, how could I describe that session? It was kind of like my sugar meets strapping young lad.
The result is very interesting. I have the album. I bought it. So, but the music there, you really get into that, and it's like shit. There's some brutal stuff going on there. Really catchy stuff too, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not just brutality for the sake of brutality. It's really, really fucking interesting to listen to.
They really pushed me, and the guys worked me really hard too. I mean, what we did with that was we approached each song in sections, and then they just put the sections together because trying to remember all those like time changes and, you know, riff changes, you know, when I was only there for like less than a week, you know, it was just sensory overload. So I said, look, here's what we'll do is let's approach each song in segments. You know, I'll do this bit first, and then we'll do the next bit.
That's
and
when
they put it all together, it sounds great. But now it's now I've heard the songs and I've got my head around them, and you know, I've sat on them for like a few years. It's like, yeah, I could go in and do that now, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, really good. Anyone who hasn't heard it, it's Obskkvlt. It's like OBSK. I think it's 2 Ks. I don't remember. There'll be links down below in the description. You can check it out. But definitely recommend checking that project out. It's like, where the hell did that come from? Because you have, it's like it happens a lot sometimes. The really good shit just pops up by accident. And it's like, fucking Barker's on this? Why haven't I heard of this before? And then you go buy the album and you're like, shit, this is brutal. So,
thank you. It was a good time. Great people, wonderful part of Spain. It was beautiful.
We're going to pick your brain a little bit, Nick, here.
Okay.
All right. So you have I would just say solid 30 years of professional experience, touring, playing, session, recording. Okay? So in your opinion, what's the most important quality a good drummer needs to have?
Well, there's several good qualities. I mean, you know, obviously the ability to play, the ability to work with other people, the ability to take criticism and be critiqued, and also don't be a wanker.
I think the first and the last ones are pretty important.
Yeah, you know, but I say this to a lot of many young drummers just starting out. You know, like kids of friends and stuff. You know, so I can't stress enough how important it is to jam with other people as soon as possible. Even if you can only hold down a 4/4 rock beat, jamming with other musicians really helps. It really improves your whole like vision of like music, and it's just better. You know, I mean, you can have like you can be the most badass guitar player in the world in your bedroom,
Yeah.
but if you can't jam with other musicians and you can't gel with them, then it's kind of redundant.
Well, I can say that probably some of the most fun I've ever had was just in the jam room, playing Hammer Down the Nails or something like that, and nailing it for the
Yeah,
first time, going woo, and playing live actually is pretty fucking fun.
I love playing live.
Um,
I prefer live to studio.
oh, I love the creative part of it too, and because I can record and mix at the same time, it's both of them. But yeah, there's really something to be said about playing live. Um,
Yeah, it's just everything. I love it. The whole atmosphere. You know,
it's man, it's a
I
rush. You
miss,
can put it like that.
yeah, I missed it. The last time I played live was last
You'll
February in
play. It's
Mexico.
gonna happen again. I'm pretty certain this
Hope
year
so.
you're gonna get going again. And a piece of advice is what fucking Kerry King said. Don't blow it on the first song.
Yeah,
Now I know what that means because I was a
yeah,
kid and I watched that God Hates Us All DVD. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? How could you blow it on the first song? Now I know what it means because I
yeah,
did it on one of the biggest shows I've ever played, and the show was a nightmare after that.
yeah. I've done it a couple of times. You know, back in the day, it was just the adrenaline. You're just so fired
Yep.
up. You know, and like second song, you know,
Cramps.
my, my thumbs cramped
Yep.
up, or you know, the fingers have locked. You know, like
And you're doing this shit.
yeah, the turkey
Yep.
leg.
Yeah, that's it's the
Yeah,
struggle is real because
it is very real.
you beat the
It
shit
is.
out of everything on the first. You're like, yeah, I fucking nailed all those riffs. Counting for the second song, doom doom doom. Oh boy, tender, tender,
Yeah.
tender. Yeah, no more fills for this song, guys. Just doing a straight beat this time. So what was it like? Because you mentioned that Sneap is a good buddy of yours. So what was it like doing the MIDI for the Toontrack thing?
It was great. I'd literally, I was with Lockup in Asia, and I got the call to do it. He said, "You fancy coming down the studio and doing some stuff for this Toontrack? You, Thomas from Meshuggah, and Johnny Tempesta have done it." I was like, "Yeah, cool. I'll come down." I literally went straight from the airport to Sneap's studio.
It's always like
Um,
that.
not showered, not showered. You know, after like a 20-hour flight, and we just nailed it.
Now you're playing on
You know,
an E kit on that, right? You record to the
yes.
E kit. So what's a major difference? Again, for people who may not know, what's the major difference when you're playing an E kit versus a real kit?
Well, you know, obviously there's the acoustics. The pads feel very different to actually striking a drum head. You know, on a drum, you know, a drum shell.
Especially the kick
Um,
drum.
yeah, it's just a totally different vibe and feel, and also it's a lot smaller and compact. So, you know, it takes a while to readjust your muscle memory.
Okay.
But yeah, it's good fun.
I mean I have the
Um,
product because I use it. Like I said, I do this.
yeah,
I mix and stuff. So I even have the drum loops that you created, and it's really fun to hear. Like, oh, that's King's. Oh, that's a variation of
yeah,
King's. Um, And then I
Yeah, so,
pull
you
up
know,
your MIDI and I go, "This is how Nick actually fucking plays. That's how hard he." Like I had a super nerdgasm because I bring up the MIDI velocity, right? And I'm just like,
a
"That's
nerd.
that's how it fucking looks." God,
I gotta take that one with me. I'm afraid the nerdgasm.
nerdgasm. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like when it's just like I'm a kid
that's
again,
awesome.
kid again doing
Yeah.
this shit. So what factored between going from Pearl to Sonar, if anything, or just kind of like the same thing with Zildjian?
Well, it was a weird thing because I was with Pearl for years, and when I ordered the Black Masterworks kit, you know, I wanted the concept of it none more black. You know, everything's got to be black. At that time, Paiste weren't doing the color sound cymbals.
Mm-hmm.
And a funny story is I hate to name drop. I'm good friends with Joey Jordison. At the time, he was in Slipknot.
Right.
Anyway, I showed him the Dimmu kit, and he was already with Paiste and Pearl. I don't think it was Pearl at the time. I think he was still with Orange County. Anyway, but he was with Paiste, and he said, "Whoa, dude, I love those fucking cymbals." And the next thing, you know, they bring out the Joey Jordison color sound, and he's got all the white cymbals on his kit. It's like, okay, right, well, cool. That was my idea, but I guess Joey, being the bigger musician, more popular, he gets the credit. That's cool, all good. The thing what made me switch from Pearl to Sonor was quite simple. After I ordered the Masterworks kit, which even with my artist deal, it still cost me nearly 5,000.
Good God. Oh.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That was even with my deal, which was 75% off less retail.
So that's a $20,000 kit.
Yeah, because they as you know the Masterworks kit, they're not mass produced.
Right, I understand.
They're made to order, and you can really you can determine the wood in the shells, the thickness, the bearing edges. You know, you can have like a hybrid mix. You know, like out apply maple, in apply birch, mahogany. You know, and everything. It's fucking crazy. You know, there's 5 different types of lug design you can use. Blah 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 blah.
Wow.
Anyway, so I got the kit and I made the mistake of going square sizes on the toms, which meant I had to drop the 22 kicks down to 20s because of the extra height on the rack toms,
right?
You know, being square.
Right.
So yeah, that I made that was the mistake I made with that kit. But anyway, I'm digressing. Yeah, basically what happened was I paid €1,000 to do the promo shoot, which you've seen online. You know, me wearing the shades,
right,
with the song in the background, which Paiste was kind enough to loan me for the shoot. Paid €1,000 for the shoot. Pearl didn't even use any of the photos on their website, which I thought was a bit odd. And I questioned them about it. I didn't really get a legit answer. And then when I got fired from Dimmu, I tried calling them up, and basically they wouldn't even return my phone calls.
So, yeah.
It was kind of a weird thing. It's like, well, what have I done wrong? I paid €1,000 out of my own pocket to do this photo shoot. You don't use any of the photos on your internet, and then as soon as I'm fired from Dimmu Borgir, you don't even answer my calls or reply to my emails. So with that in mind, I was like, okay, fair enough, whatever. I then went on to join Testament, and it was actually at NAMM, at the NAMM convention. Oh, what year was it now? January 2007, because I was hanging out with Derek Roddy, and Derek at the time was a Sonor guy, Sonor and Paiste. And Derek said to me, "Hey man, I got to take you over to the Sonor booth and introduce you to the guys. They'd really like to meet you." And I went over there, met all the guys. I'm the new drummer of Testament, blah blah blah. They pretty much offered me a contract right there and then. and gave me a catalogue and said, just tell us what you want and what you need, and we'll fix it. And then about a week later, the UPS guy turned up at Chuck Billy's house with a shitload of drums for me.
Well, that's service.
And, you know, I went through all the correct channels and let Pearl know that, you know, look, it seems like our relationship's broken down for whatever reason. And therefore, I'm going to, you know, gracefully pull out the contract, and I'm going to go with another company. And then when they found out it was Sonor, I got quite a pissy email from the head guy in Holland.
Well, they had their chance, I guess, is what you would say.
Well, you know, I mean, I paid €1,000 out of my own pocket for a photo you didn't even use.
Right.
It's not like they gave me the drum kit for free either. I still had to pay nearly $5,000.
Of course, yeah. That's what I mean.
You know,
and you've been with Sonor for a long time now, almost the same amount of time you were Pearl, even longer now.
Yeah, since 2007. So
yeah, so
what is that?
13,
15, 14
yeah.
years. And Thomas, the head guy at Sonor, is an amazing dude. He's really looked after me over the years. You know, even though I'm not in like the big bands anymore, so to speak, they always take good care of me. I mean, you know, they're such great people at Sonor, and you know, Thomas, the head guy there, you know, he even for my 40th birthday, he gifted me the Phil Rudd signature snare.
There's a rocket snare for you. That's cool.
Yeah, and you know, he knows how much I love AC/DC, so it was like, happy birthday, big boy.
You and my dad would get along very well.
That's great.
It's his favorite band. That's all. I mean, I grew up on AC/DC.
First love. Bon Scott is my first love.
Yep. There's the Johnson era and the Bon Scott era, obviously. But I mean, I grew up listening to tons of AC/DC because of my dad. So awesome. He did a good job. So I got a funny question here for you. So I am also a kidney stone veteran of 2017. I try to put some humor in this because it fucking sucked.
It's humorous now, but at the time when I had the flare up, it was fucking.
So
you know,
I laid in agony for 2 days because I was like, no. What the thought of a kidney stone? No, I just like maybe something's backed up or something. Took some pills, just try to lay down. It culminated with me laying in a hot bath, throwing up over the side of the bath, and my wife was finally like, "I'm calling the ambulance," and I finally said, "Okay."
Oh yeah, it's the same for me. Being, you know, doubled up in excruciating pain in the fetal position.
That's exactly it.
And just puking like a dog because the pain is so excruciating.
Yes.
You know, and like there's no relief from it. Like if you lie on your side, there's just no escape from it, and it's hell. I mean, I've got girlfriends that said it's actually worse than childbirth, the pain.
I read about that. I mean, obviously I don't know, but I mean, a lot of women have said that, and I can believe it. And you're right about that. It's a nonstop, throbbing, constant,
fucking horrible,
consistent fucking pain, no matter where you lay down, what you do. And I remember just when the nurses came, I was inconsolable. I mean, like I'm a normal guy. I'm pretty fine with pain, you know, but I was literally inconsolable. Like, lay down, sir. I'm like, I can't stop moving. I just
well, my flare up. I called my GP, my doc, and they said, right, well, can you come down? And luckily, the doctors, it's only like 2 blocks away from where I live, but I barely fucking walk. I mean, it was like such a struggle. And I got in there and I just collapsed on the floor. And they did my blood pressure and it was like 246. And straight away they just freaked. They're like, he has to go to hospital now.
It's
and
terrible.
The paramedics came. They wheeled me out. I was in so much pain in the ambulance. They jacked me up with morphine.
She gave me something when she came, and it was instantaneous. And the feeling that you get was euphoric.
Yeah, they gave me the anti-nausea first, and then they jacked me up with the morphine, and I don't even remember checking into the hospital.
It sucks.
I was in hospital for a week. They did the CT scan, which showed I got one blocked in the in the pipe that goes from your kidney to your bladder.
Right.
There was one stuck and it was lodged.
Oh God!
And then they found someone already in my bladder, and it was the one that was blocked that was backing up, causing the problem. Well, they just put me on a course of meds,
breaks it up,
and like water, and I felt fine. And then I had another flare up in the hospital, and then the next day they did an ultrasound, and I guess I pissed it out.
Yep. Yeah, I like how you say like around the meds and water. People, I was drinking 3 liters of water a day. I literally lived in the fucking toilet.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I had a private room, which was great. So, you know, I was just drinking water, and like it was like on a constant loop. You know, drink, piss, drink, piss, drink, piss.
It would have been the only time in my life where I would have been okay with a catheter.
Yeah, well, I didn't bear well with the catheter. They had to take it out.
No, I have a bilateral cleft palate. So I mean, I was in hospitals a lot as a kid, and so I've had a bunch of them. Yeah. But I mean, it was at such a degree where I was like so tired of pissing every 20 minutes. I was like too lazy to get up to go.
You just give me the bag. Now they tried fitting the catheter, and it was the most uncomfortable feeling I've ever.
Well, it's unnatural. Yeah, it's not a natural thing.
It just felt like I was pissing myself slowly, like just a trickle, you know, and it was just uncomfortable. Yep. And I was, you got to take it out. You got to no, sir, we can't, because not until you've stabilized. Take it out, or else I'll rip it out.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that. The balloon inflated in the end of your penis. And anyway, they took it out after my blood pressure had come down. Jesus fucking Christ. I'd never known pain like it. They took it out, and it was like extracting barbed wire.
Yep. And they're really slow about it, like this, you know?
Yeah. I dropped on my knees in pain. I was screaming.
Yep.
And, of course, they took it out. Of course, you know, there's piss everywhere, and I just didn't give a fuck. I was just on my knees like, make it stop.
I know. And people want to act tough, but that shit sucks.
Yeah. But for the rest of the week, I had tons of irritation. It was sore every time I went to pee.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
And then and I was anticipating the stones coming out. Like, oh, fuck, I'm already sore because of the catheter. You know, if I've got to piss out like something the size of a fucking meteorite. You know, and but anyway, I think the meds,
they broke it up enough.
Yeah. I didn't even feel passing it. Yep. I didn't even feel it.
Yeah, actually, my doctor was kind of pissed off because he's like, you pissed it off.
They actually said that we've got like a tea strainer. If you want to pee through it, we'll catch the stone.
Do you ever look at these people sometimes? You got to be like, are you kidding me right now? You're fucking pee.
Well, you know, it would have been cool to just save in a jar, because
I got
I've got my both daughters' baby teeth.
That's cool though.
You know, when they first tooth, I've got it in like a little vial, and it's just, you know, to have the kidney stone in a little vial, it's kind of
and that's pretty funny.
Look, I picked it out of my urethra.
I'm really proud of this one. The Dimmu album's not even close. So what's on the, you know, provided that things go back to normal, whatever that means now, 2021, what's on the horizon? What do you end up doing with Borstal and stuff like that? Or Brujeria?
Well, the Brujeria album's just about to be ready to be mixed. Cool. We kind of like, it's a bit more of a return to form, like the first 2 records. So it's very punky, very blasty,
aggressive.
Yeah. And then Borstal, that's my new band, the kind of like hardcore band I'm doing. We just recorded our debut EP, which is called At Her Majesty's Service.
Oh, it's
At Majesty's Pleasure. Sorry.
Oh, bit tongue in cheek there. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Well, Borstal being, it was a Victorian Young Offenders Institute.
Oh, okay. All right.
They were the fucking cruelest places. They'd send children basically, and the prison guards were just like sadistic monsters that, You know, the brutality was next level. You know, and this is from the Victorian times, and they only just abolished the Borstal System in the early 80s.
So could you, I mean, because I'm natively from America, so this is a foreign concept to me. Could you talk a little bit more about what that system? So because I just thought it was a name that you thought of, I didn't realize it was actually.
No, it was a name for the Young Offenders Institutes. You know, like you know, for basically kids that commit crime that are too young to go to jail, to prison. So there were basically up to 17-year-olds there. So you'd have like, you know, a 9-year-old that murdered his parents.
Oh.
You know, and a 17-year-old that stole a car. That was the scope of it. But the see, there's many British films about the Borstal System, and they're very gritty and violent, and you know, and because it's, you know, part of the old English Victorian prison system, you know, we wanted something that kind of, it's unique to the UK, and it's a name that is easy to roll off the tongue.
Okay.
And that's where the idea of At Her Majesty's Pleasure, the name of the EP, was called, because basically you could be sentenced indefinitely, and when the judge hands down the sentence in court, it will be, you'll be incarcerated indefinitely at Her Majesty's pleasure. So basically, when the Queen can be fucked to give you a pardon, that's when you'll be free. You know, so you could be in there a month or your entire life.
That's crazy. Well, now it's more interesting of a name. I mean, again, I was just ignorant to what it meant. So
yeah, that's basically the background of the name, and you know, we wanted something that was British and kind of institutionalized, you know. And
I'll have to give it a listen.
Yeah,
I mean,
and you know, I will do another black metal project one day. I've just got to find the right musicians, and I don't want to do keyboard black metal. I want it to be full on, like mayhem, dark, funeral, hatred.
Oh yeah, the classic shit right there.
Back to the Borstal thing, you know, it's a genre of music that I've always loved since a kid, because, you know, when I discovered thrash as a teenager, all of the thrash metal bands that I listened to, they were all into punk.
Okay, yeah.
You look at early photos of Metallica and Exodus and Slayer, and they're all wearing like Discharge and Exploited t-shirts,
right?
GB, you know, and then you'd read on the back of the thanks lists, you know, they'd be thanking bands like Cro-Mags and Agnostic Front, you know, and all these hardcore bands from New York. And, you know, it used to be called crossover, and it was like punk mixed with thrash. But yeah, it's a genre of music I've always loved, and you know, I wanted to do something different, and luckily I managed to get the right guys to do it with.
That's awesome. I'll definitely check it out. I'll give it a shot. So
it's all good,
man. Nick,
I love doing.
Yeah, thank you. Honestly, man, I wish I had more unique words to express my gratitude. Honestly, I mean,
oh my God.
I mean, as a kid, as a teenager, you were the man, and for me, you're still the man when it comes to drums. So I really appreciate the opportunity to talk a lot.
Well, yeah, if your listeners, if they want to hook me, go to my Instagram. I'm going to be raffling off some equipment.
Yep, I'll put that in the description, guys. So just description below. Check out his Instagram.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'll be there too, and I might slip Nick some money so that I win. That's a joke, guys. All right. But and listen, I think if you guys have any questions, please write them down below. If they are good questions or cool questions, we can get a couple of them, 15, 20 of them, and maybe Nick could come back for round 2 if he wants. But think of some good questions first.
I would absolutely love to.
Thanks you. Yeah. So thanks a lot, guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Nick, I'll give you the last words. You can send us off.
Just want to thank everyone for the support throughout the years. It really means a lot. Like Scott said, I'm not really a big social media guy. I've got to get on top of that. But I am aware of everyone's comments, and, you know, it really means a lot that people regard my playing and what I do, that, you know, they hold it in such high regard. And for you also, Scott. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Pleasure's mine, man. All right. Have a good one, Nick.